Man, I had some ups and downs in this business. And so to see where I am now and to look back on some of the things that I've done, yeah, man, it puts a smile on my face at times because it wasn't easy. It was very rough, you know, from living in my car for a little bit or actually walking down the street as if I'm just taking a stroll, but folks didn't know I was looking on the ground for money. I didn't want to go begging for money, but I would look for quarters on the ground. And, you know, every day I'd find enough to buy a sandwich. Sometimes that's how I ate.
Actor, TV personality, and comedian. Lamorne Morris. He's been featured in things like New Girl, a sitcom that done very well. Barbershop, where he played a character alongside Eve, who is Maximilian Cooper's wife. And his most recent comedy is something called Woke. He's a very successful man. I met him on the Gumball Rally. We drove from Toronto all the way down to Miami, and he was in a fantastic Rolls-Royce. We also, right at the last part of the trip, played a football match at Inter Miami, and he was on my side. I have to say, he's not only full of energy, but he's someone that rarely looked sad or out of place. He was always upbeat, very positive, and someone that said yes to my podcast when I asked him. Enjoy this episode, and thank you very much, Lamorne Morris. Okay, welcome back to my podcast, Stephen Sulley Study. It's been a very, very long time since I've done a podcast over Zoom, and the next guest I got in front of me is a household name, certainly in America and definitely actually around the world. Lamorne Morris, thank you very much for your time. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you on the Gumball Rally, and I think it was even a bigger pleasure to share the football pitch with you, being on each other's team at the Inter Miami.
Oh man, thank you, dude. Thank you for having me. Yeah, that Gumball Rally was insane, especially being on the football field. I haven't played since I was like maybe 8 years old, 8 or 9. And so that was an experience for me, for sure.
Well, so I was going to introduce you by saying you're an actor, comedian, TV personality, but also seeing your skills on the soccer or football pitch. You're a bit of an athlete as well, mate. So have you always been into your training, always been into your sport?
Basketball, you know what I mean? For sure, it was my sport of choice growing up. You know, I did play football or football or soccer, or however you would call it. You know, I grew up playing that with, my father was a coach, and he played for in Belize, he played for a while. He was their trainer, their coach. And so I grew up in that, in the training aspect of life. My brothers are all athletes. My sister studied martial arts, so that's always been a thing for me. I'm not gonna lie to you, I got lazy as I became an actor and stopped training as much, but that's always been the backbone of who I was.
So you're from a family of like go-getters, winners, and strivers, basically.
Pretty much you could say that. You know what I mean? My mom worked her ass off. She retired a little bit ago, but she worked for 40 years at the post office, and just has always been, holding it down for the family. So that's my family.
Good stuff. So before we get into your career and obviously what you're doing now and what you've achieved, etc., the Gumball Rally. I mean, when the offer was made by Maximilian, because so my establishment here is we got a private art gallery in Soho, London. Okay, Max is a big art collector, and that's how we got connected. And quite naturally, being someone who's very enthusiastic about cars and been following the Gumball Rally, it was always in the back of my mind there could be an opportunity to do this Gumball Rally. Now, obviously, the price to enter is quite hefty. But then I thought to myself, well, number one, I love cars. Number two, I fucking love going to new places. But number three, the most important thing is connecting with new people. And I've connected with so many brilliant people. And I've got to be honest, there was not one dickhead on the Gumball Rally. Everybody was top class. I mean, I can't even say one bad word about one person on there, which
I know.
I'm kind of gobsmacked, because usually if you've got 150 supercars or great cars and there's minimum of 2 people in these cars, you probably would find 1 or 2 dicks, but there weren't. And
not at all.
Not at all. So Gumball Rally, why did you go onto it? And was it your first time, and are you planning to do more?
First time. So it was my first time. Back in 2015, I'm not sure if you can see this behind me, this poster here. So
Barbershop.
Yeah, Barbershop. That's me in the corner right here. And right
Yep.
next to me is Eve. So Eve is, they're married. Max and Eve are married. And I met Max briefly back in the day when we did Barbershop. And I didn't know anything about Gumball, really. I mean, I'd heard about it, but I didn't know anything about it. And then years later, cut to present day, I hadn't spoken to Eve in a while. I reached out when I was heading to London just to visit some friends. And she said, "Oh, come by the office." She had just had a baby and said, "Hey, come by the office. I'm not there, but Max is there." So I said, "Oh, I'll go check out Max." And when I'm there, I started walking around the office with him, and he was giving me a tour of the office. The place looked like a museum. You know what I mean? All these historical photos, the art that was there, the Rolls-Royce bumper that had been smashed during a ride, things like that. The history of Gumball started coming to life for me, and immediately I wanted to do it. Immediately I said, "Hey man, I had no intentions on ever doing this. I mean, I do love cars and I do love people, but I just didn't know it was like this. And I didn't know it wouldn't be a grueling race. It being a rally where people can commune and people can talk and get to know each other and hell, even do business at times. I thought that's awesome. You know what I mean? I can get a car with friends of mine. We can go, we can document the whole thing for our own personal purposes and just kind of bond a little bit. That's what attracted me to it. And when he offered me the opportunity to go, I jumped on it. You know what I mean? And what's crazy is that I knew exactly who I was going to call the moment I left the Gumball offices. I immediately, I have some wild friends who are always down for an adventure, and so I called those few guys, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, Gumball headquarters is incredible. It's like a place that you go there 3 or 4 times and you will see something new. And I think all the people there are very, very cool. They're all on the same page as far as like their mindset and how they are as individuals. For me, I've never been to Canada, right? So going to Toronto for the first time was amazing. And then I have been to America, but I've been to the typical places. Well, what Brits would normally do, which is New York. I have been to Miami. I've been to LA. I've been to Vegas, But places like Nashville and Barnstown. I mean, what?
Yeah.
Like Atlanta. These are places that, unless I'm doing something like a Gumball Rally, I probably may never do them, or certainly not consecutively next to each other. And I've got to tell you, the place I was really blown away by was this Barnstown, because it was so small.
Yeah.
I got there, and being from London, I mean, the women, I've got to tell you, I mean, I'm married, but they were coming over to me saying, "Can you just talk to me?" And I'm like, "This is crazy. This is crazy." And I found it really like, I just such an amazing experience, and I'm glad I've ticked it off at least once, and I want to do it plenty more times.
I'm from the States, and I've never been to Bardstown.
Yeah,
I'd never heard of Bardstown. So obviously, being in the States, sometimes you get a little weary about certain small Southern towns, especially if you're a black dude. You're like, is there a reason why I haven't been to Bardstown? Let me go check Bardstown. And you get there and it's beautiful. Everybody's so warm and welcoming, and it's I was blown away by it. You're right. And we were there for such a short period of time. But when you were there, you're reminded of it's very mom and pop shop. It's very local and small but huge at the same time. It was weird, the one chef cooking for everybody in the restaurant, and all the little pastries, and the way they opened up the restaurant in their town for us. I just like, this is crazy to me.
Yeah, very, very cool place. Want to ask you a question? The NASCAR experience. First time for me actually seeing a NASCAR in real life. Typically in Europe, we look at mostly F1, so NAS is not really a big thing over there. But I've heard of it and I've seen it on TV. But to actually go into one and to go around that loop 3 or 4 times at 170 miles per hour, something crazy like that, was absolutely like took my breath away. What was your experience like?
I wasn't going to do it at first. I wasn't.
Really?
I said, yeah, listen, man, I got this weird mind where I think I'm going to be the guy who flips over in the car. I was like, it's going to be me. Like that.
Like
I'm
Final
sure.
Destination stuff.
Exactly. This is exactly what it was. I thought my driver's going to be drunk. My driver's going to be, his foot's going to slip as soon as he hits the curb. And my friends did it first. And that was the issue. Peer pressure. My friends, they were like, we're fucking doing it. As soon as they got in, I thought, shit, now I got to do it. And so I immediately, after sitting in that car, I thought, why would I question this? This has been the most, like before the car even took off, I thought this is going to be the most incredible experience I've had. I'm the guy who hates roller coasters. You know what I mean? Even though I used to work on them, but I got in the car the moment we took off. I thought, whew, this is an experience, man. If I didn't do it, I would have regretted it.
Absolutely.
Probably for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And do you know what? Getting like me being naive and being very, very thinking in a basic way, I'm thinking, well, how hard can it be? You're going round and round and round in a loop. But actually being in that car and how it slides, especially as it's going around the corner, I've got so much respect for these drivers now. And it's something I'm definitely going to be following a lot more. So out the whole experience from Toronto all the way down to Miami, what would you say was your favourite part of the Gumball? And yeah, I mean, what aspects really stand out for you?
There are a bunch. If we're talking the energy and the force behind the cars, you can feel it when you're out there. The jets flying overhead, that was incredible to me. But I would say probably Nashville, only because, we got a chance to really kind of hang out a lot in Nashville. I think there are multiple parties or multiple gatherings in Nashville, and I've always wanted to go to Nashville. At one point considered moving to Nashville. So I never got a chance to experience it, and I loved it. And I definitely will be going back. So I'd probably say Nashville was, as far as location goes, was my favorite location. But because I've been to Florida a million times, I'd been to Atlanta. My show films in Atlanta. So I've been there a million times. At Toronto, I recorded in Toronto often. So, and I'm from the Midwest, so I've been to Indiana, but Nashville was probably the place. Now, as far as the experience goes, it's going to sound cliche, but getting to know everybody and getting to know different folks from different countries and different walks of life with different levels of experience as far as travel and cars and all this stuff goes, just hearing people speak about, the things that matter to them was incredible to me. I'm a huge, like you said, sports fan. So Ken Griffey Jr.
Legend.
There. Legend. Yeah. I mean, the fact that I got a chance to like shoot the shit with him, and he gave me a pair of shoes, and we talked and goofed off, and we have each other's phone number. I was like, this is silly. Like, in what other aspect of life will I become cool with Ken Griffey Jr.? So that to me was probably the biggest takeaway from it. What about you?
Well, I was just going to say, like, very similar experience to what you had with Ken Griffey Jr. I'm, look, my main sport is boxing because I fight myself and I enjoy watching it. But I would say a second sport that is a big culture, certainly in London, is soccer or football, as we call it. And I'm a Chelsea supporter. And having Sean Wright Phillips, who used to play for Chelsea, on my side, and actually him passing the ball to me, that was like, fucking hell, this is mental. Like, I'm in David Beckham Stadium into Miami. I've got so many cool people. There's other athletes and there's actors and there's entrepreneurs, etc. But I've got a Chelsea legend playing football with me, and it's like, this is really surreal. So that was great. The only thing I've done differently there is had a bit more sleep the night before because I was absolutely wasted.
Dude, I was gone. My head was killing me. I'm not sure if you noticed, I retired after I came out the first time. That was my retirement party. My head I did a couple laps up and down the field, and I said, "This is too much for my head right now." Yeah, dude, I could imagine, man, getting the chance to play with somebody who's part of your upbringing, part of the club you support. Like that's got to be surreal, you know. And when amazing. Does that happen? When does that Never. Gumball is why that happens?
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So the car, you drove a Rolls-Royce, correct?
Yes, we drove the Rolls-Royce Ghost.
Why a Rolls-Royce? Now, I'll tell you why I asked this. Me and my business partner were weighing this up. Mm-hmm. We were thinking, do we go with something luxury, like a Rolls-Royce, which is going to be comfortable, boot space, etc., or do we do something which is theatre, dramatic, uncomfortable but fucking cool in the Lamborghini? That's why, and we end up going for the Lamborghini. So I'm just want to get in your mind, why go for a Rolls Royce?
So originally, when it was pitched to me, it was, you know, folks bring their own cars, and you know, or sometimes they can rent cars, or so, you know, however you want to get the car to the location or whatever you want to do. I drive a Lamborghini Urus. And at the time, I was considering selling it. Now, that's an SUV. So I was thinking I was going to sell it, so I don't want to put any more miles on it. I thought it's sitting in my garage. I just thought, maybe. I was like, maybe I'll take it. But then by the time I made up my mind, shipping would have been a ridiculous price. And on top of that, the timing of it wasn't working out. There would have been some delays. And I mean, you go to Detroit to get their car and then bring it back. And a lot of cars were stuck at the port. So in order to avoid that, we reached out to a company who were renting the cars. And I said, there's going to be 4 of us in this car. And this is my first time doing it. So I couldn't drive a 2-seater. I couldn't drive an Aventador or a Huracan or anything like that, or a McLaren. There was no way. There's no way I was going to be able to do that with 4 people, unless we're going to sit on each other's laps. And let me tell you something, that would have been odd. It would have been very odd to have 4 dudes in a 2-seater. And so we went with the Rolls. I wanted the Cullinan originally, because I wanted to go pure absolute luxury in space. Yeah. But we ended up going with the Ghost instead because the Cullinan wasn't available. And that's why we went that route.
Well, look, great car. And was your experience driving that car a good one?
Yeah, it was. Although I do think somebody was fucking with us. At some point, our AC went out. And that was somewhere between Indiana and Nashville.
Oh, not good right at the start.
Yeah. I thought is this one of those hazing things that people were talking about? The DDE guys. I thought maybe they did it, but I don't know. Still to this day, I'm thinking somebody was messing with us.
Last thing on the Gumball before I get into, like, you know, what you've achieved and stuff. I don't know if you heard what happened to us. And I'm not trying to top you here, but this could have got really. It could have gone really bad for us. So basically, when we took off from Toronto, not actually from the flag drop part, but all the cars were parked outside the Four Seasons. Then we drove to another part where they were doing the announcements, and we were sitting there for some time. And the DDE boys were just behind us. We had Pog Forever just behind us. There was a load of people walking around. Anyway, I would call car kind of enthusiast, car spotter, a young man, came over to the car, looked in the engine bay, and he went, "Dude." I went, "What?" I went, "You got a problem." I went, "What do you mean I got a problem?" He went, "You got a serious problem." And I said, "Well, what?" And he said, "Look at the suspension." Now, I'm no mechanic, so I don't know what I'm looking at. And the suspension goes sideways in the Lamborghini Aventador, and one side had dipped. And it was noticeable, but only because he showed it to me. And then I said, well, me being a man and being a bit lazy about it, I just said, it'll be all right. You know, it'll be fine. Because car was performing right. There was no warning lights on. Everything in my mind was fine. He said, it's fine going at low speeds, but the moment you go fast, if you hit a pothole, the car could tank that way and you might slide off and crash. So anyway, I thought, you know what, I need to get a second opinion. So I brought Damon over from DDE. I asked him, and he said, no, this is serious. This could be. He said, let me put it like this to you. Have you heard of Paul Walker who died? Yeah. Well, that's allegedly what happened to his car in the GT. The suspension collapsed and it banked one way and he crashed. So anyway, I had to call up the company. I had to drive 45 minutes away to go and get the suspension sorted. It took a few hours, so I was half a day behind everybody. I got to Detroit when you guys were getting to Nashville. Sorry, to Indianapolis.
Whoa!
Mate, it was carnage, mate. I was so stressed. But anyway, we caught up with you guys. I got to the Indy 500 race with probably about 2 hours left. So really? thankfully it worked out. But if the guy had not seen the suspension, who knows what could have happened. And the second thing is, how many mechanics have a spare Lamborghini suspension part just sitting around? Yeah. I mean, someone was looking down on us that day, and I was very, very thankful that we got it sorted. But yeah.
Well, look, I look at it this way: you got it fixed, you got it sorted. Man, I was hot, man. I was so hot. I was so hot in that car, man. We were rubbing ice on each other's necks. Like, oh my God. Dude, that would have been horrible, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, maybe nothing would have went wrong, but just after hearing what Damon said and a few other people, I'm glad I got it sorted. But so look, your sitcoms, some of the ones that people would know of, New Girl, Valley of Boom. And then you obviously got films like Jumanji you've been in, Yesterday, and then commercials. I actually saw you on a billboard in Toronto, I think, as well. Taco Bell, Twix, I love Twixes, Microsoft Windows, etc. I mean, when I say all this stuff, and like you got a massive following on Instagram, 1.1 million followers. When I say all this stuff, and you know, you got a big following, and you've been in some blockbuster films. Do you ever like, because I think you're 2 years older than me. I think you're 38 years of age,
38,
correct?
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever like look back and think, wow, like, can't believe I'm kind of almost here. I mean, because you've achieved so much, man.
Yeah, I every once in a while I have to stop and remind myself of, you know, the journey of the, you know, I used to study at this place called Second City, and the philosophy there was, embrace the journey. You know, it's not always about where you're going. It's like, it's what happens when you get there. Yeah, you know, you're just there, and then you got to keep trying to, you know, achieve new things if you want. It's about the journey. And man, I had some ups and downs in this business. And so to see where I am now and to look back on some of the things that I've done, yeah, man, it puts a smile on my face at times, because it wasn't easy. I could tell you that much. I know the beginning of the journey was very rough, you know, from living in my car for a little bit to, you know, borrowing or actually walking down the street, you know, in LA, you know, as if I'm just taking a stroll, but folks didn't know I was looking on the ground for money. You know, I didn't want to go begging for money, but I would look for quarters on the ground. And, you know, every day I'd find enough to buy a sandwich for the day. And like, sometimes that's how I ate, you know, and to look back on it, it's insane. It's insane. The commercial days, especially, because I booked my first commercial on accident in a way. I was running late. I was running late for an audition. I would take the bus about 3 hours to get to this place, just to walk in and say, this Twix tastes great, and then leave. You know what I mean? You do all that. And then one day I was late for an audition, and the casting director asked me if I had read the material, and I lied and said, yeah, I read it. And I got in the room and just started improvising and making shit up. And then that's what booked me the job. And then I realized, you know, that struggle was what kind of made me instinctually use the skills that I actually have, my instincts, which is improv and making things up off the top of my head. And then that's the rest of my career. That's kind of how the rest of any project I ever worked on, whether it be New Girl or Woke or, you know, like you said, Valley of the Boom or some of these movies, they allow that to make things up. And I didn't know I had that skill so much, you know, until I was struggling to, you know, to get to this audition. So yeah, I look back on the journey often, and it just reminds me of, you know, where we all started. Yeah.
I mean, look, I've been to LA, Hollywood, and there's always that big dream of, you know, making it, inverted commas, making it. And we all know that you know, many people don't get through. You know, there are a lot of people that, not going to say they fail, but it's just they don't get that break, you know? And, you know, it's easy for friends, certainly family members, and also parents who love and care for you to not try and put you off your dream because they're being negative. They're just trying to look out for you.
Right.
So there must have been times, Lamorne, in your life where, you know, you're looking for quarters to buy a sandwich. You would sleep in your car. You're basically like almost homeless.
Yeah.
And friends and family would have turned around out of love, not out of disrespect, and said, "Oh, why don't you just get a conventional job?" How did you maintain that positivity and that determination and that sheer belief to become the person you are today?
Man, I tell you, friends around me who wouldn't allow that. You know, my friends knew we're all very talented folks, you know, in my group of friends. And so they knew where the struggle was, and they knew where it was coming from. And they knew that this has to happen in someone's journey. You have to go through this patch, you know, and you don't, sometimes, you know, you need the help, but you don't always want it. So what I made sure I didn't do was tell a lot of my family what was going on, you know, because I know my mom, like my mom knew a little bit, but I know she would have been like, well, you know, bring your ass home, you know? And so I made sure that I stuck through it and grinded it out. You know, your friends, they obviously, and your family, they obviously care about you and they want to see what's best for you. But they were with me from the beginning of the journey. So they know that there was a goal in mind. And, you know, it's a marathon. You're going to go through those things. So if you give up, if you have that plan B, sometimes you're going to fall back on it. And I didn't want to do that. You know what I mean? And my plan B was something I wasn't the best at, which is basketball. So it's like, oh, this shit don't work out. I'm going to the NBA. And we know that wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like taking you back to when you was looking on the floor for quarters and stuff. And I'm just trying to live in that moment like you were. Like it must have been hot, you know, people around. And, you know, I get the impression that you didn't want to go kind of asking for money because it might have felt a bit embarrassing. So you're trying to do it on the sly, looking for money. How did you because there's going to be a lot of young people out there that are trying to pursue something, whether it's entrepreneurship or being in music or acting or playing a sport or something like that. But the emotion gets the better of them sometimes and it deters them from their dreams, their aspirations and their goals. How did you kind of block out the emotion and say, do you know what? Doesn't matter what I'm feeling right now, whether I'm hungry, whether I feel a bit desperate, whether I feel the anxiety of not achieving, I am going to get to my goal. How did you kind of condition yourself doing that?
There has to be some sort of, I think in doing what we do, there has to be some sort of unrealistic confidence that you have to have. Sometimes it comes off as delusional. You know what I mean? You have to dare. You have to shoot that shot. You have to go big and go aggressive at times, because if you don't, you won't change your circumstance, you know? So that's how I did it, man. I just knew that even though I wasn't in the right place, I always thought, oh, I'm not in the right place right now because I haven't worked hard enough. Like, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. I haven't worked hard enough. The opportunity hasn't presented itself yet. I'm gonna keep working even harder. You know what I mean? And so there are days when friends would go out and, you know, we're gonna go out and grab some drinks. We're gonna do this, and I'd say, I'm just gonna stay at home, and I would stay at home, you know, and look up monologues. You know, watch movies with my favorite performances, study them, see what makes these actors different. Like, what are they doing? I would do that as opposed to going out, and I you know, I would sign up for free acting classes all over the city and just go and sit and watch all the rest of the younger actors who are in town. What are they doing? How are they performing? You know, where am I at compared to them as far as skill level? Oh shit, there's an actor in this class who's fucking incredible. Okay, that means I got to work harder. That means I got to work harder. I'm not on his level, or not on her level yet. I became a student of it. And to a certain degree, I became a hermit, you know, which isn't great, but I had to go through that in order to block out some of everything else. And then once you come from out of that shell, you have all this confidence and you have this ability and this skill set. And it just happens. Like I said, my big break kind of happened on accident because I was late, for something. But I used the thing that I've been working on to get me out of that rut of being late and not knowing my lines. It's like an animal in a cage. They know that they got to scrap their way out.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Another question that I don't know if you've been asked this a lot, but whenever I speak to, let's say, high-profile people, a lot of the people I've interviewed are like athletes, boxers, soccer players, etc. Fame. The question comes up with fame because obviously being very good at what you do, you become famous. Mm-hmm. Fame. I mean, like, is it something that you relish, something you enjoy? Is it something that kind of freaks you out from time to time? What's your kind of relationship with fame?
I used to equate fame with success back in the day. You used to see me coming up, you're like, man, I want to be famous. But you then realize that's not what you want. You want to be respected for what you do so you can continue to do it at your own level and your own pace and control your career. Now, fame sometimes comes with that. And I've been fortunate enough to have a great relationship with fame. The people that know me, that come up to me to say hi, the people that embrace what it is that I do are 99.9% of the time awesome people. They just want to show some love. They'll come up with a fist bump. Hey, bro, I love you, dog. Mm-hmm. Hey, can I have a photo? Yeah, can you say hi to my kid? Yeah, of course. It's a positive experience, so I got lucky in that. I got lucky that I don't have I can still go to the mall. I can, I'll take a bunch of photos and stuff, but it's great. That's people showing their appreciation for what I do. Remember, living in your car for a little bit, that could be, you're very grateful. So when people want to show some love towards you, I remember there was a time when prior to being in and out of my car, I used to have a show on a network called BET, and I used to be a VJ, like a video host. And so for 3 years, I was on TV. I was on BET. I'd done a couple commercials, but then afterwards is when I went broke when I moved to LA. And I remember going to an audition and sitting on the bus, and this girl goes, "Oh my God, can I get a picture with you?" And I was like, yeah, sure. Because it had been a while since someone had recognized me. And I was like, yeah. And then the guy she was with goes, "That ain't him, stupid. Why would he be on the bus?" And I got so low. I got so embarrassed. I was like, shit. And the way he looked at me was like, this dude pretending to be that dude for that's that's a shame. You know what I mean? Or, oh my God, this guy fell off. We don't want a photo with him. Whatever the thought process was, kind of hurt me a little bit. You know what I mean? So when people do show their appreciation for me, I embrace it. I welcome it. I talk to fans I go back and forth with fans in my comments or on Instagram or in DMs, or people message me all the time, and I respond as much as I can. I'm not Justin Bieber. You know what I mean? He can't go anywhere. I'm not The Rock. He can't leave his house. That might be strange. You know what I mean? If it ever got to that level, then you might have to have some sort of restriction just based off of safety. I have a daughter, you know what I mean? I don't want there to be any kind of issues going on with her or my family. But besides that, man, I embrace it. I walk into crowds and say hi to people, and people are usually pretty cool.
I think as well, bro, this is my experience just meeting you in the Gumball, playing football with you, obviously having a conversation now. You're always smiley and you're always cracking some kind of joke. And I think it makes you very, very approachable, which is such a great thing. Now, if you was a different kind of actor, like play role of a hard man or a gangster, it might be quite intimidating to approach you, So I think you're very approachable, you're very relatable, and you're a super, super good guy. On the note of highs and lows, can you tell me what would you say that the lowest period that you've been in? Was it when you were kind of sleeping in your car or looking for the coins? And then on the flip side, what's been the highest kind of mostly, where you got the most amount of satisfaction from your career? Well, when was that? What sort of time was that?
Certainly the low is in that time period when I was in and out of my car. But surprisingly, the low emotionally where I felt the lowest was when I was already on a television show. And I don't know why, to be quite honest with you. I don't know why. I don't know. I'd gone through this like 4 or 5 month bout with like extreme depression. And I didn't know what it was. I was on the show New Girl. We had Prince. We were doing an episode with Prince. And I remember being in that episode totally unhappy. And I just thought, fuck, this is a real thing, because it'd been going on for a couple like months. And then Prince was on the show. And I thought, well, this will get me out of it for sure. I'm working with Prince. I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I was like in my own funk. And till this day, I never pinpointed what was wrong. I never pinpointed. I felt like it got bad. Like it got really, really bad. And a lot of it I thought could have been, no, the idea that no matter that money doesn't buy you happiness, right? Here I am, successful, taking care of my family, and I'm in this great position in life. I'm on the show that everyone loves. People see me and they go, "Oh, I love your work." So I'm validated in all aspects of life. You know what I mean? And then, but you realize there are other aspects of your life that are probably missing or you're lacking in. Maybe my relationship wasn't going well, or, and then you go, man, money can't solve these problems like at all. So it's probably in that time period where I physically felt the lowest, because even when I was broke back in like 2008, 2009, I want to say, in and out of my car, even in that year, I was already, I had never experienced like extreme highs yet. So being in that position was just part of the grind for me. You know what I mean? It was just part of being an actor. A lot of actors were in my position. A lot of my friends are couch surfing, so I was low, but I was like, I didn't know it yet, until I reached this height and still felt bad. So that was probably 2011, 2012, maybe 2012, I could say, was probably a good low point for me. High, man, it's weird. Like the other day I sat on, my daughter's almost 2 years old, and like, she ran on the couch and just jumped on me and just like cuddled,
Wow.
That's that. And in that moment, like there are no issues. There's nothing. Like everybody's fine. Like everybody's healthy. Everybody's happy. Everybody's, like these are, it was interesting. I don't know what it was about that moment, but I felt like I'm on top of the world. I just sold my house. I made a good profit from it. Like I just come back from Gumball. Like I was like, what, this is great. Like, this is awesome, man. Like I don't need a vacation for a while. So I would probably say now is a good period in my life where I feel great. I feel, I'm extremely positive, and I'm excited for what's coming next. I'm working, trying to create other opportunities for myself and for my friends. And like, that's a good position to be in, because you don't get the opportunity to do that often,
Yeah. What you just said there about your daughter, I mean, I've got two boys. Mason's just over 3 years of age, and I've got Logan, who's 8 months. And
congrats.
Thank you, man. And little things they will do will either make me laugh or make me feel like important because I'm their dad, and you get this real like inner center feeling that everything else falls away, and you just in the moment you're like, this is fucking great. Like this is what life's all about. And I know it's cliche, but the best things in life are free. And when I was younger, I thought having the Lamborghini, the Ferrari, or the Porsches, or the nice watches, or the homes, don't get me wrong, they're all great, and I'm still going to strive for them. But really and truly, when you strip all that away, it's actually like the connection that you have with the family or the friends and them experiences. I do want to go back to kind of unearth what you said earlier about the depression, not to antagonize you, but it's such a hot topic at the moment, talking about mental health, depression, anxiety, etc. And it was a taboo subject for many years. And
Yeah.
someone who is high profile, very successful, most people would be like, actors, millionaires, successful people, they don't go through depression because they've got everything in the world.
Yeah.
How can they possibly go through it? So was there any moments where you felt suicidal? Was there moments where you felt I need to turn to drug or drink? Was there any times where you felt there's going to be like self-harm or abuse? And how did you actually overcome it? Like, what was the steps that you went through to, tackle your demons?
Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, I did. I was suicidal, and I never made the attempt for sure. But I tell you, I fantasized about it often. Like, is that what I should be doing? Like, how do I get out of this? Yeah, I didn't know. Like, when I say it came from out of nowhere, it came from out of nowhere. One day I woke up pissed. I was just in a bad mood, and it got worse and worse and worse. The way I would treat people, talk to people. I was by myself. I didn't want to, I don't know what it was, but, and I would think about it often. And, I had a girlfriend at the time, and one day, whenever I'd wake up, she would make me, a healthy juice or a smoothie with like random shit in it. I didn't know what the hell was in this, chlorophyll and all kinds of, it was disgusting. But I would do it. I would drink it. She would go on walks, make me go on walks. I would exercise, It was my diet that got me out of it. I'm not joking. I came out of it, but that's the only difference in my life at that time. And sometimes I'll think back on it and I'll go, I think that's what it was. I'm not 100% sure, but I know for sure I lost weight. I stopped drinking as much. In fact, I think I stopped drinking for a long time, and my mind just became clearer. And you find value in other things in life. You know what I mean? Other than the things that you think were supposed to fulfill you. Hiking all the time. That, like, my mind, I think maybe vitamin D levels were low. Stuff like that I didn't realize would change my perspective or change my mental clarity. So I want to say the diet probably is what got me out of it. I don't know I don't know that to be 100% true, but it's got to be. But when I was in it, I didn't make the attempt to take my own life, but I thought about it and I drank. Like, drinking was, that was like the easiest thing to do. I would like drink to go to sleep. And wake up and like go to work and come back home and time for some more drinks. You know what I mean? And that wasn't great. And you know what's interesting is that you could see it on camera too. Like, I was looking at my face on camera, the circles under my eyes. I was like, damn, boy, you look fucked up. It's like, what's up with you, dog? So yeah. Maybe exercise got me out of it, and diet, maybe. Yeah,
I definitely resonate with that. I used to be a part of a wellness company called Mimboso, and a big part of it was food hacking and nutrition and diet. And they say all food has frequency. If you're eating junk food, taking drugs, drinking, smoking, etc., it's a bad frequency, and that goes into your body. I know this can sound a bit far-fetched, but it just doesn't resonate with your cells and your brain, etc. But when you eat superfoods, natural foods, things that are clean, that's how it resonates with your body, and then you start feeling upbeat and positive, and you sandwich that with exercise, man, you're going to be superhuman. It really is as simple as that. So okay, you mentioned something earlier about like I think money, fame, etc. Like, what actually motivates you, bro? Like you're successful now, so why don't you just hang up the gloves? I know you're not going to do that because you're still young, but what motivates you? Why do you still do what you do today?
Man, I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about, my goal isn't in life isn't it's great to be able to financially have some freedom, but I like to think that my purpose is to make people laugh or entertain folks. You know what I mean? I found that I used to do it as a kid, and adults would laugh and they would go, that was funny. You could see a smile on people's faces, even no matter how stupid the joke is. I don't mind making fun of myself. I don't mind like getting silly and getting strange at my own expense. I just love to see people smiling, and that positive energy definitely helps me as well. When people smile, it's interesting. You walk down the street and somebody smiles at you, you smile back.
It's infectious.
And it's infectious, man. And I think when everyone's in a positive mood, you can stop a lot of bullshit in the world. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? If everyone is genuinely just happy and excited, and obviously we go through ups and downs as human beings. That's what makes us human. But like at our core, like if there's a happiness inside of you, I think that the world would be a lighter place. There would be less tension between people, between races, between countries, between political parties, I think. So I perform to make people smile, and even if I were just doing it, not just, but even if I was just teaching, improv or comedy, like that'd be cool to me, because I'm helping create other people who know who then go off and make people smile. You know what I mean? And that's why I do it. I'll never get tired of getting that gratification from seeing people smile.
That's great stuff. I always like to ask this, whether people are athletes or entrepreneurs or people, in your craft. There must have been some actors or people that you've worked with where you thought, fuck, they're a big deal. They really motivate me. They really inspire me. Can you name a few who you would say are the best people that you've ever worked with, and people you thought, you know what, that's a solid individual right there. I love what they're all about.
Man, my first show, New Girl, most of us actors were all on the same level when we first got on that show. And they motivated me because you saw how sharp and how gifted they were at their craft. And you're playing catch up a little bit. And I always want to work with people who are better than me so I could keep growing. You know what I mean? So I would say that first initial, series, New Girl, the whole cast kept me on my toes because they were always on the A game, always. And going forward, working with somebody like a Vin Diesel, for example. Like I did a movie called Bloodshot with Vin Diesel, and that dude, man, that dude, when I say is thinking about all aspects of the business while he's working, blows my mind. Like we're doing a scene where I have to say this line, and he'll after the cut, he'll go back and come to my ear and say, hey, maybe try it like this, blah, blah, blah. This is going to be a line they use for the trailer. So this next take, say it. It's going to sound cheesy, but say it like this because that's the take they'll use for the trailer. And you're like, what the fuck is this man talking about? Like, come on, I'm not doing that. And then you do it, and then they use it in the trailer, and then he's looking at you like the way, like this is what we're going to do. Like, this is how the business is. So look at he was somebody who I admire based off of not only his skill set, but based off of how he sees things as a business entity as well. You know what I mean? Ownership of your IP, ownership of the things that you do. And, there are lots of folks who I could, pull from and see how they operate. But in the movie Barbershop that I did, man, that was a lesson. That was a lesson in comedy. Like, if you get a chance, go watch Barbershop, The Next Cut. Cedric the Entertainer, JB Smoove, Anthony Anderson, Dion Cole, this cast, Ice Cube, obviously, this cast was so good and so funny. There's something called a table read, is when you just sit there and you read the script out loud with the whole cast. And you have to read it verbatim. Whatever's on the page, you have to read it so the writers and producers can know what's working and what's not working. Well, in the table read, JB Smoove starts improvising and going off script. And then him and Cedric the Entertainer start improvising and going back and forth so much that the rest of the cast is in tears. And I thought, well, how the fuck did they do that? They're so confident, they're so skilled, and they're so gifted at what they do. It just helped me to elevate my level of performance. When whatever set that I'm on, I have to be, I have to be big. I have to be, there is no half-assed in it when you're at work. That's what separates these folks from the rest of us. You know what I mean? So you keep elevating, you keep, bringing your A game like they do. They bring their A game from the table read. You know what I mean? Full performance mode. Yeah. And so that right there, Barbershop was a lesson for me.
Admittedly, I haven't watched it, so I'm now going to watch it, and I'm going to dedicate some time over this weekend to definitely sit down and watch it. And I'll give you my feedback over Instagram. I'll send you a little message. I want to ask you just two more questions because I know your time is quite precious. So, 38 years of age, you got so much time ahead of you, bro. Like to achieve so many cool fucking things. Do you ever think about things like winning Oscars, winning certain trophies within your sector, accolades, etc.? What like basically in the next 5 or 10 years, what are you going to achieve? What are you going to experience? What are you going to do?
I used to love the idea of winning awards and getting these accolades, and I still like the idea. Now I'm not in love with the idea. I like the idea because it's almost like this. There are people that I admire, and selfishly I selfishly want Denzel Washington to know who I am. You know what I mean? I want Eddie Murphy to know who I am. And so if I win an Oscar or if I get nominated for an Emmy or something like that, then they would know who I was. And then hopefully we'd be peers. You know what I mean? It's small little things like that those are benchmarks for me internally, to have someone who's clearly an iconic figure or clearly someone who's mastered your craft to recognize you in a positive light. And I feel like that would be the validation for getting an award like that, is to hopefully have the respect of some of the elder folks that have come before you, get them together to say, oh, we think you did a great job. Now, besides that, it's all about the fans to me. It's all about the fans. Like if the fans love it, that's what I'm doing it for. You know what I mean? If the fans are like that's in 5 or 10 years, I hope to still be able to have a great relationship with fans and fans to love and respect what it is I do. Now, on more of a surface level, I want to be a damn superhero. Like I want to be in one of these Marvel or DC movies as an iconic character and just having so much fun on set, doing stunts, wearing wires, being in this fantasy land of of the movies. Like that's something that I've always wanted to do, especially now having a kid. Like I want my daughter to say, oh, like Daddy, you were in that movie with this person, and oh, my favorite super, like that. Like I want her to, I don't know, I want her to, like, aside from being her father, like I want her to look at my work too and be impressed by it, because it's something that she can escape to when she's watching TV. You know what I mean? So
when you said superhero, I thought straight away, for some reason, you could be the next Deadpool.
Man, you kidding me? I would love to. Are you fucking kidding me?
Because he's funny, but he's also hard as nails, So
exactly,
I think you could play that part really well.
Can you call Ryan Reynolds, man? Call him.
I'm gonna call him right now.
Thank you. I know y'all are friends.
All right, cool. This is the last question then, okay? So when I started my first company when I was younger, 24, 25 years of age, it was a sales company. And to keep all the salespeople motivated, we come up with a mantra, yeah? And the mantra goes like this: be happy, never content. Now, bearing in mind, this was sales, this is performance related, commission only, striving to be the best, male-dominated environment. There were some females, but mostly male. And it was all about keeping people in a peak state. Now, I've got my own interpretation of what be happy, never content means. But if I were to ask yourself, what does be happy, never content mean to Mr. Morris?
Find the joy in life, no matter what it is, but always strive to continue to search. You know what I mean? You just got to search. You got to be looking and finding the little nuggets in life. Life has so much. This planet, even this universe, is so massive. Dream bigger, man. Just keep pulling from the universe and keep pulling from wherever wherever you see yourself, just find the happiness. You know what I mean? Because the moment you stop looking forward, the moment you stop enjoying it, is you hit a stalemate. That's when you get old, and that's when you're ready to check out. You know what I mean? I think you'll always find a new adventure in life. It's interesting. I used to say, as far as talking about relationships, I would say, who knows what my soulmate is? You know how massive this world is? Who knows? Like, I'm gonna keep searching until I find this person. It doesn't mean she has to live, in LA just because I'm in LA. She could be in Afghanistan for all I know. I've never been to Afghanistan. Maybe I'll go to Afghanistan. What makes me happy this week? I think that's what it means to me.
World-class answer. Thank you very much for your time, bro. You've been a fantastic guest. I've learned a lot from you. And listen, I want to stay connected with you. If I'm ever back in America, which I will be, no doubt, be nice to hit you up. And hopefully I'll see you in another Gumball Rally.
Yes, indeed, man. I want to come to the next Europe one, and we'll see, bro. We'll see. But I'm definitely gonna come to Europe before then. So I'll check you out when I come. I'll shoot you a note.
Listen, we're in Soho, London. We've got a private art gallery here. In actual fact, I think we're probably moving to Mayfair soon. So by the time you get over, maybe we're being our new fancy establishment. And
nice.
Yeah, I'll just show you what we're doing here.
Nice, man. I can't wait, bro. I can't wait.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Thank you very much. And always remember to be happy, never content.
Thank you, man. You as well. Always right from front to back.